Welcome back. Let's move to step 2. Now we have to create a user class as the user model, and we have to create user control for creating user API having CRUD operations. I will create a new package called model. Inside that package, we'll create a class called user. I will include three private properties for user class. So ID, name, email. And we have to create setters and getters for these attributes, these private attributes. For that, we can use code generate in menu or alt insert with the IntelliJ IDEA. Getters and setters. Select all three. Okay. Now we have to use annotations for ID property. I will use a auto generated value in the database. Therefore, I have mentioned this as the ID using at ID annotation. We have to import in JavaX persistence ID annotation. And just alt enter, then it will automatically imported in IntelliJ IDEA. And for generated value, import class. Generated value type auto, need to import it. And another annotation we have to use is at entity annotation. This is going to be an entity. This is also from JavaX persistence. We have completed the user module class. Now we have to create user controller inside controller package. Currently we have welcome controller. We have to create another controller called user controller. This is also a Java class, new Java class. Adding at REST control annotation will make it a its controller. And add request mapping annotation. Path going to be /user. And another thing I have forgotten to mention previously, we have to create user repository interface. For that, I will create another package called repository package. Okay. I will create here. I'm not going to create a class. I'm creating an interface. Here we can select the whether it is a class or interface or any other. Now this is going to be an interface called user repository. For this, we have to just extend this from CRUD repository. Here we have to mention what is going to be our model and what is the data type of model class ID attribute. I'm using the user model class previously created for the enter for importing. Yes, we have to now import this CRUD repository interface. This is from framework data repository. Implementation of this repository interface will be done by the Java Persistent API. Therefore, for getting just the CRUD operations, we don't have to implement any of the methods of the CRUD repository interface. Let's go back to the user controller. I'm adding attribute called user repository. This is going to be a type of user repository that we have already created. Import this. I'm going to use AutoWire here. In Spring, we can use AutoWire or use a setter and use XML configuration for dependency injection. Here, I will use AutoWire annotation. Now we don't want to add setter as well. We don't want to create the setter since we are using AutoWire. And now we have to add request mapping for the CRUD operations. First, I will create the request mapping for post request. Request mapping. The method going to be a post on. I have to import it. That's post request, and this consumes means what is it is consuming. It consumes a JSON. It means a request body would be in JSON format. And this is a public method here. What is returning? What it returns is a response. As the response body would be a user. That is the model that we have created here. Uh, parameter for this add method would be a user, and it will be taken as a request body, which is in the JSON format. And see this simple code, user repository, this user repository dot save method. We will give it the user detail, which is coming as a request body. Let's run the application. It is running. Now we have created a post endpoint. To test the post endpoint, we have to use a HTTP client tool. I'm using Postman tool. You can use any HTTP client tool for this. In this tool, we can create a new HTTP request. We can select what is the request type, get, post, put, or likewise what is the request. First I will do a get request. Localhost 8080. It will return the hello world text. And now we'll try the new endpoint slash user1. Here we have to give a request body and select row, and here we are using application JSON, and we have to provide a JSON here. And what should be included in our JSON? For creating user, we need name and email. I will give name as test user, email test at gmail.com. Like this. Let's try. This need to be a post request. Yes, it has created successfully one user. Response is like this. Now we will check the database. I'm using MySQL Workbench to connect to the database. I already connected to the database. We'll check the tables. We have to table created, and this is the user table. And we'll check the users in it. This is the user that we have created using the API. We will add other endpoints to the user controller. I will just copy and paste the code, and we'll check this. I'm creating a method get and produces application JSON. It means what is written is a JSON, and response body readable list of users. This endpoint is used to get list of users. We have to import this get. Just alter enter. Should be a problem there. We'll check. It should be suggested to import. Yes. It is imported now. And if you check the implementation of this, we just use the user repository and find all method. Then it will return all the users. And now for this method is to get a one user. There, response entity, and we have to use a path variable. It means in its path user slash there we have to enter ID, and for ID is used as a path variable, and we are returning it as optional. When you are using an optional, it will appear null always, and we have to check whether it is present, and if it is present, it will be return the user with the status OK. If this condition not satisfied, then it will be return not found. It means ID with the we have given ID that does not exist in the database, and we are using same path and put request for updating. Normally REST APIs we use put request for updating. Those things we have to import it. Just alter enter in IntelliJ IDEA. If it has only one for importing, it will be automatically imported. Otherwise you will give a prompt to select which you need to be imported. You also first find by ID, get the user. If the user found, it means user dot is present. and it will update the user repository save using save, and will return the HTTP status OK, and otherwise it will return not found. And we have the same path, but method is delete for deleting user. So the implementation of that. Now we have done all the CRUD operations for user API. Now we'll restart the server and we'll check whether it is working properly. I have run it just right clicking on the main method, therefore I have to stop it just clicking this end button. The server will be stopped and we'll restart again. After first running, just right clicking on the main method, if you want, we can use this run button to start the server. We'll start it again. Service running. We'll check the new endpoint that we have created for in this path slash user with a get request. It should return all the users that we have created. It is empty array. Why it is an empty array? We created one user, but it returns an empty array because in resources application properties file, here we have mentioned to create. If it is create here, it will always create a empty database when the server starts. But if the data exists in the database already, we have to keep it as it is and do the operations further. For here we have to change into update. Then restart. Now again we will try the post request that we did earlier. This post request same path, and response body is like this. We'll do a post request. We got successful response again, and we have created a user. Now we'll check the new endpoint. Change it to get request. Mistakenly, we should test this. Just get slash user. Yes. Now returning an array of users. We have created only one user. We'll check after restart the server again. Stop. Restart again. It's running. We'll do that request again. Still we have the user since we have changed it to update. Now we will create another user, change to post, this, change test user to test to gmail.com. Yes, user id 2 as created. We have another endpoint that you have created for get one user with id. First try this endpoint again. This we have two users. Now we'll check to get one user. Try this. We are getting one user. We'll check same path for updation. We'll change the username to new test user like this. New test user. We'll get it back to verify. Sim get request. New test user like this. We'll try the deletion. Delete request. Delete. We'll try to get this again to verify. Get. It's 404 not found. Returning not found. Since the user does not exist, we'll get all the users again to verify. Let's get request. Yes, we have only the user id 2. We have successfully completed our step 2. We have created user API having CRUD operations with the MySQL database.